right, welcome back. Bessemer and Lake Erie NHO scale. I'm Ray Brown, and welcome to what will probably be a kind of quick update on where we are with projects on the layout. We are kicking into marching band season, leaving for camp tomorrow, and try to get as much of this together as I could before we head out and show everybody where we're at. So, kind of got, ground turf on here and some ballast on the tracks, and what I'm going to call the Renton mine, which is very sad version, but it'll work. Got that in, and at least a first layer of ground cover on. Happy with it for now. Obviously, lots to do to finish the scenery, but this will do for now. But the big reveal, there is scenery roughed in on the bridge, fascia up, lights behind the valance, the works. So let's kind of take a look at a little bit of what we've done here. So for starters, got some of my laser cut signs on. I did mess this one up here for River Valley. The north and south are backwards. I'll have to fix that. I do think this is going to end up being sort of the standard for some of the locations around the layout where I'll have the milepost listed. Just because it's a fairly big layout, people come over and operate and maybe don't know the names of the towns or their western Pennsylvania geography. I can give clues in the work orders of where things are located by milepost. And that should help people navigate the layout. So carved all the foam, saw that in the last video. Just came over and smoothed over it with just joint compound. I just do that literally just with my hand. I just smooth it on. Give it a quick coat of paint and sprinkle over some ground turf. Didn't really show doing that at all. There's a million videos of people doing out there, and Rob Hale over at HO Scale Model Railroading just did a pretty nice walkthrough of how he does it about a month ago, and that's pretty much the process I follow too. The ballast I'm using, this is Scenic Express. Is number 40 blend ballast. This is real stone. I like this. I think it's got a good look to it. I did try to get a little bit of cinder base under it in spots. I'm going to come back and do a little bit more with that, I think. And then did get the ballasted deck complete across the bridge, which I think really kind of put the scene together. Got the road at least roughed in and tracks everything else. So for the river, I think this is my fifth layout. Not really sure anymore. But some pretty much there's very few things in the layout I haven't done before, but I have never poured water before, and I was scared to death to do this. Painted the bottom with just dark blue, the apple barrel paint you get at Walmart. If you look at the satellite images of the river, it's a pretty consistent color. And I'm bad with trying to get colors right and, all that kind of stuff. So I must have painted this, 7 or 8 times. And then I came back with just Woodland Scenics Realistic Water, which, just watching videos and everything, I got it because it looked easy. And it was. You literally don't even shake the bottle. You just open the bottle and pour it. And it said it set in 24 hours. I found it took more like 3 or 4 days. But it turned out great. You can see the reflection of the bridge. And it even kind of came out with this real subtle ripple. And I like it. I can see it kind of better looking at this angle. I didn't even try to do that. So all I did, I painted the bottom, and then I just, ran a bead of caulk around, along the fascia just to make sure nothing was going to leak. And yeah, held my breath and poured it, and you know what? We'll call it good. Yeah, happy with that. For the Pennsylvania Railroad, the Common line, I just went with a lighter stone ballast, just to make it look different than, the Bessemer tracks. And then on the other bank for the Allegheny division, I tried to do more like, maybe a little not as well built. I use the same ballast with the cinder edges. Again, I'll probably do some work to come in and clean that up more. Kind of can see like this will be my golf course hole eventually. And, my little hill there in the corner, took it pretty much all the way to the top and got the Union Railroad disappearing into the tunnel out of North Bessemer Yard. So as trains are coming across the bridge, I'm thinking the last signal is about right here. So, should have good visual clearance of that signal. So you'll come up there and then have to get permission from the yardmaster in. You can see, I don't actually have the outlet up for the lights yet. I just plugged it in temporary. Got a lot of fascia on. Figure as long as the weather's nice, I might as well try to get as much of that cut and up that I can. Keep doing that after camp here, as long as I'm kind of on a roll doing fascia. I'd like to get to a point that I have fascia pretty much done on the layout. That'd be great. But there it is. Scenery roughed in and all the ballast in and glued down. I did make a smaller sign, the Bessemer sign out here in the middle of the bridge. The one that was there, I liked it, but it was obviously so big. And this one's probably still big, but it's a lot better. Just cutting those, on the laser with the laser board, same way I'm doing everything else. In fact, let me show you that. So this is what the the product is. Trolleys, of course, like everything I do, buying that on Amazon, and just put, this is black on the back, so when you put it in the laser, it just sort of burns off the yellow and the black shows through. So I've got, the orange white, that I'm doing for the signs here. But yeah, super happy with this. This is another milestone for sure. This is definitely starting to unmistakably make it a Bessemer layout. Pretty happy with how it all came together in the end. And as we discussed in previous videos, a million things wrong with this bridge, but I sure do think it has the look and feel, and that was the goal. Capture the look and feel. All right, so do want to show one other thing that's totally unrelated, but I think it's kind of exciting. And we'll show some trains going across the bridge and maybe some other things. Down here in Conneaut, we got all the switches in, and I've been starting to get the switch motors under there, and I was figuring out what I wanted to do for switch control. I really just wanted a simple double pull, double throw, but I didn't like this because I was worried, people would break them off. So I'm trying to keep, the fascia smooth. So if, somebody brushes up against it, there's nothing to break. So here's what I came up with. Here it is. So that is a double pull, double throw push button. That's for a stomp box for a guitar, like a distortion pedal. So these are made to be, stepped on by guitarists. And that's a latching double pull, double throw switch. They're a couple dollars a piece. You get them on Amazon, like everything I buy. And then 3D printed the holder. So that button just mounts in there. And I made it so a socket fits right in there. And then there it is in the fascia. So I'm getting the signal indication there. That's a red-green LED, also bought from Amazon, with the little holder. And then with the red-green LED, it's just two wires. So you just hook it to the leads going to the motor, and you just flip it until it's right, because it just changes color with polarity, just like the motor does. So that couldn't be easier. And then I think what I'm going to do long term is I'll put in little switch lamps that the color will change just like that does. So the color on the button will correlate with the color on the switch stand. And that'll be some visual cues for, being able to run the yard. Because, you can picture that. There's going to be, a lot of them going down the front of this right through here. So, that's that. Anyway, I've been at this bridge for months now, and itching to get back to other projects and get progress going on other pieces of the layout, but man, am I happy with that. So, let me cut this here, and let's run a couple trains across it, take a victory lap on this one, and we'll see what happens next. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bessemer and Lake Erie and HO scale. Uh, what am I doing? I thought I'd take a break from working on fascia and scenery on the bridge and do some work on some locomotives. So I have, I don't know, 6 or 7 of these Proto 2000 SD7s. And with the Rapido models imminently coming, and I have them on pre-order, why on earth would I get another one? For the record, they run really good. They pull really good. They're smooth. Details a little shaky, but anyway, but I love demonstrator units, and I finally got a screaming deal on one of the EMD demo units, so I couldn't pass it up. So this looks to be brand new in box. We'll go ahead and get her unboxed here and start looking at what we're going to do to it from a DCC install standpoint. All right, here we are unboxed, and as much as I just got done saying that the detail was lacking, it's also not bad. Especially remember the age of these models. Okay, so the windshield wipers are big and heavy, so what? I mean, I paid $60 for this engine, so not going to complain. Love the paint scheme though. I think it looks really good. Yeah, happy with that. All right, so I think we're going to do what I did with some of my other ones. The board will come out, and then I got this speaker from Scale Sound System, which is made to go in here. So it sits in there kind of like that and goes up inside the cab. And then I also got this speaker from Scale Sound System, and I think if I cut off those nubs, that'll sit right in there with enough room. We'll see. And then I'll be able to mount the board in there like that, and we'll lose the bulbs, and we'll just put in some LEDs. And see how that goes. All right, so let me go ahead and disassemble this and get all the wires off of it and get those nubs cut off, and be right back, I guess. Well, there it is, kind of all put together. Didn't take me, I don't know, half hour or so. There's not a whole lot to these. When you don't have ground lights and ditch lights, and you just got a front and rear headlight, it don't take long. The decoder, I had to buy the board for this project, but the decoder I thought I was having a problem with a decoder in another unit, so I got a replacement for it. And it turns out there was nothing wrong with the decoder at all. It was just the number that I had assigned to it got hung up in the Digitrack system. So all I had to do was reset my command center and it was fine. So so then I ended up with a decoder on hand that there was absolutely nothing wrong with. I've had ridiculously good luck with TCS decoders. I'm running over 100 of them now. And I can think of maybe one I've lost in 10 years that wasn't completely my fault. I've lost a few, but they were bonehead mistakes that were all on me and nothing to do with the quality of the product. Anyway, but that being said, Digitrax lets me down every day, so maybe we'll do something about that eventually. No one ever accused me of doing the neatest jobs, but they work. So I just got the SM LEDs wired in and been around the front speaker here, and I got those nubs cut off and that back speeder mounted. I just try to route the wire so it'll be out of the way, and I just put scotch tape on stuff just to help me get the shell on, just to hold the wires while the shell's going on. Got the KDs on it. Got to file them just a little bit thinner for these Proto, and I mean just a little bit, and just run them up and down the file a few times, and they swing in there nice and free. But it does take a little bit of touching them. All right, well, let's get the shell on and see what it sounds like. All right, well, here it is all together. Done some testing, runs real good. Might have to adjust the coupler height a little, but loving the sound. Of course, that's the dual scale sound speakers in there. Headlights converted over to LED. Keep alive. And that's another project we'll call Done for Now. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time here on the HO Scale Bessemer and Lake Erie.